In the somber and quiet atmosphere of Emily's funeral, the air was thick with grief and unspoken words. The small chapel, nestled at the edge of the village, was filled with mourners who had come to pay their respects to a woman whose life had been cut tragically short. The room was a sea of black attire and tear-streaked faces, the silence heavy and oppressive, broken only by the occasional sniffle or the rustle of fabric as someone shifted uncomfortably in their seat. The scent of lilies, Emily's favorite flower, filled the air, their white petals a stark contrast to the dark mood that hung over the gathering. The silence, however, was suddenly shattered by the loud, relentless barking of Buddy, Emily's loyal golden retriever. The dog, who had been sitting quietly by the casket, suddenly sprang to his feet, his barks echoing through the chapel like a desperate plea. His eyes were fixed on the casket, his body tense, as if he were trying to warn of something unseen by human eyes. The attendees, startled by the sudden disruption, began to murmur amongst themselves. Unease spread through the room like a shadow, creeping into every corner. Some believed the dog was sensing something supernatural, a presence that lingered beyond the veil of death. Others, however, grew irritated at the disturbance, feeling that such a sacred moment should remain undisturbed. The tension in the room was palpable, a mix of fear, curiosity, and frustration. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more stories like this. Among the mourners was Michael, a stranger who had recently arrived in the village. He was an outsider, someone who had come to the village seeking solace and a fresh start after a series of personal tragedies had left him feeling lost and adrift. But now, as he stood in the chapel, he couldn't take his eyes off Buddy's unusual behavior. There was something about the dog's frantic barking, the way his eyes seemed to pierce through the casket, that struck a chord deep within Michael. Driven by an instinct that something was amiss, he decided to approach the dog. Buddy, as if understanding Michael's intent, paused his barking and locked eyes with him. The dog's gaze was intense, almost human-like, as if he were trying to communicate something vital. Michael felt a strange connection, as though Buddy were guiding him toward a hidden truth. The uneasiness in the room grew, but Michael's curiosity was piqued. He began to sense that Buddy's actions were far from random. Beneath the surface of the growing tension, it felt as though a dark secret lay waiting to be uncovered, one that no one else dared to confront. At that moment, Michael knew he had to embark on a journey to uncover the truth, even if it meant facing dangers he could never have imagined. Driven by the strange events at Emily's funeral and Buddy's persistent behavior, Michael couldn't shake the feeling that something deeper was hidden beneath the surface. Guided by his instincts and Buddy's unwavering focus, Michael decided to investigate further. His first destination was Emily's house, a quiet stone cottage at the edge of the forest. The cottage, shrouded in an air of abandonment, stood as a silent witness to the life Emily had lived. The door creaked open, unlocked, as though someone had left in a hurry. As Michael stepped inside, he was met with a chilling stillness. Dust coated the surfaces, but some objects seemed recently moved, hinting at activity that didn't match the quiet exterior. Buddy began sniffing the ground intently, leading Michael toward an old desk. The dog's nose twitched as he followed an invisible trail, his tail wagging slightly as if he were on the verge of a breakthrough. Michael, trusting Buddy's instincts, began searching through the drawers. Beneath a stack of papers, he discovered a small wooden box, hidden away as though it held secrets too dangerous to be exposed. Inside the box, Michael found aged letters, photographs, and a key taped to the back of a frame. Among the letters was one written by Emily herself, detailing her growing suspicion of Father Thomas, the village priest. Her words described secret meetings, strange occurrences in the church, and her belief that Father Thomas was embezzling money from the congregation. One line stood out to Michael, sending a chill down his spine. "If something happens to me, the truth must come to light." Michael's pulse quickened as he pieced together the fragments of Emily's life. Buddy barked softly, as if urging him to keep going. Looking through the photographs, Michael noticed a small metal box and several images, often near Father Thomas. He remembered Buddy's strange behavior at the funeral and began to suspect a connection between the priest and Emily's untimely death. The key, The letters and the photographs painted a picture of betrayal and corruption that was too significant to ignore. Determined, Michael pocketed the key and set out with Buddy by his side, ready to follow the trail wherever it led. Armed with Emily's letters, the mysterious photographs, and the small key, Michael felt the weight of the secrets he was uncovering. Buddy's restless energy only fueled his determination as they followed the trail to the church, the very heart of Father Thomas's domain. The church loomed ominously in the fading light, its quiet halls holding the answers Michael sought. Guided by the map Emily had drawn in her letter, Michael located a small concealed door behind the altar. The key fit perfectly, unlocking a staircase that descended into the shadows below. The air grew colder as Michael and Buddy crept down the narrow steps, each one creaking under their weight. At the bottom, they found a dimly lit corridor lined with stone walls, the silence broken only by the faint sound of chains rattling in the distance. Michael's heart pounded as he pushed forward, with Buddy at his side growling low and protective. At the end of the corridor, he found a room where Emily was chained to a chair, pale and weak but alive. Her eyes widened with relief as she saw him. "Michael," she whispered, her voice hoarse. But before he could free her, heavy footsteps echoed behind him. Spinning around, Michael found himself face to face with Father Thomas, his eyes blazing with fury and his hands gripping a wooden plank. "You shouldn't have come here," the priest snarled, his voice laced with menace. Without warning, he lunged at Michael, the plank swinging violently. Michael dodged, but the force of the blow sent him stumbling. Buddy reacted instantly, barking ferociously and sinking his teeth into the priest's leg, forcing him to drop the weapon. In the chaos, Michael regained his footing and stood between Emily and Father Thomas. The truth was out, but the fight was far from over. Determined, Michael braced himself for whatever came next. The tense standoff in the darkened basement was broken by Father Thomas's anguished screams as Buddy held firm, his teeth sunk deep into the priest's leg. The scene was chaos. Michael shielding Emily, trying to think fast while the priest, desperate and enraged, thrashed to free himself. Seizing the moment, Michael grabbed the fallen wooden plank, using it to force Father Thomas away from them. "You've gone too far, Thomas," Michael said, his voice steady but filled with resolve. "This ends here." Buddy finally released the priest, who stumbled back, his face twisted with both pain and hatred. Seeing no escape, Father Thomas resorted to words, attempting to justify his actions. "You don't understand," he hissed, clutching his injured leg. "Everything I did was for the church, for its survival." But Michael knew the truth. This wasn't about the church. It was about greed and control. Father Thomas would stop at nothing to protect his dark secrets. With Emily too weak to walk, Michael quickly untied her, lifting her into his arms as Buddy kept a watchful eye on the priest. "We're leaving," Michael said firmly, starting toward the stairs. But Father Thomas, unwilling to surrender, lunged at them one last time. Buddy sprang into action, barking and snapping at the priest, forcing him back. The commotion attracted the attention of villagers outside the church, who had begun to gather, drawn by the noise. Bursting out of the basement with Emily in his arms and Buddy by his side, Michael faced a growing crowd. "Father Thomas has been hiding the truth," he declared, his voice ringing with authority. "Emily discovered his crimes, and he tried to silence her." Gasps rippled through the crowd as Father Thomas stumbled into view, his guilt written all over his face. For the first time, the villagers saw the man behind the mask, and the truth began to unravel. As the villagers gathered around the church, their faces were a mixture of shock and disbelief. Michael, standing tall despite the chaos, held Emily close while Buddy stood protectively by his side, his eyes fixed on Father Thomas. "He's been stealing from all of you," Michael announced, his voice unwavering. "Emily found out about his corruption, and he kidnapped her to keep her silent. The evidence is in the church, hidden in a box beneath the altar." The crowd murmured, hesitant but clearly shaken. Father Thomas, realizing the gravity of the situation, tried to defend himself. "Lies!" he shouted, his voice trembling with desperation. "I've served this village faithfully for years. Don't listen to this outsider." But the blood on his torn robes and his wild demeanor told a different story. Michael turned to the villagers, holding up the map and the small key. If you don't believe me, see for yourselves. With growing unease, a few brave villagers followed Michael back into the church. Beneath the altar, they uncovered the metal box, filled with stolen money and damning evidence. Gasps filled the air as the truth was revealed. Outside, the rest of the village waited anxiously, and when the evidence was brought out, silence fell. The trusted priest they had revered for years was exposed as a fraud. Father Thomas's mask of holiness crumbled entirely as the villagers, now united in their outrage, moved to restrain him. Emily, her strength slowly returning, looked up at Michael and whispered, "You did it." He glanced at her, then at Buddy, who wagged his tail as if understanding their victory. The village, once steeped in deception, had finally seen the truth. Justice was served, but the scars of betrayal would take time to heal. As the days passed, the village began to rebuild, the wounds of the past slowly healing. Michael, no longer an outsider, found a sense of belonging he had long been searching for. Emily, though still recovering, found solace in the support of her community. And Buddy, the loyal dog who had played a crucial role in uncovering the truth, became a symbol of hope and resilience. The dark secrets that had once threatened to tear the village apart were now laid bare, and in their place, a new sense of unity and purpose began to emerge. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more stories like this. Thanks to our valued viewers, we continue to improve every day. Please subscribe and give this video a thumbs up.